Hello and welcome to another iOS update. In this update, we've revamped the entire Insights tab. So we have redesigned the entire Insights tab from the ground up. It looks and feels quite differently. We're using a lot more screen real estate now, which makes a lot of sense for displaying your stats in more detail. But we've also refactored how we are fetching, analyzing, and caching data, which makes the entire tab perform a lot faster. And then we have also revamped every single component. This is in the effort to really improve on our Insights tab and making that the front and center piece of the app that you can come back to and check your daily stats, but also your overall progress. So let's go dive into each component. First of all, your stats at the top are now not only around running anymore. We've essentially added all of your other activities so you can toggle through your activities and see the stats for each individual activity. And you have this little token here to be able to change between the ranges. So either this week, this month, this year, to be able to really dive into those stats. We've also added these little animations just to make things a little more polished. We love things like that. Then the same has happened for the volume component. So instead of only being able to see my weekly volume in terms of distance, I can also see the same thing for rides. We're using distance for indoor and outdoor rides, distance also for walks, and then for everything else we are using the moving time. Now the time and zones component has been updated. Similarly, you are able to toggle between each individual activity or look at everything combined, which is very helpful when you really want to see how you're pushing your heart rate and zones. And same here, you have a toggle to switch between the period ranges like you did in the total stats component, making it really nice to be able to dive into all of your stats. The training load component is pretty much still the same way as it's been so far. We have a lot planned for the training load component, but for now, we've just added an option to be able to view the data that we are using to calculate your training load component, which is obviously very helpful to know and be able to dive into each trimp value that we've calculated for your activities. Cool. And then you still have your training paces below that, as well as your race predictions and your PRs. Your PRs should be more reliable now. We're using a better way to identify those and cache and also update them whenever you have a new activity that has actually outperformed your previous activities. Things like these have really been improved in this recent update. As part of this effort, we have refactored the entire way we are fetching and analyzing your data. So now everything should be a lot more performant. We are storing essentially all of your activities locally on your device. Nothing is ever leaving your device. But for performance reasons, we are creating a cache, which we can then use to run all of these analyses and stats calculations in a fraction of seconds, as opposed to previously it took a few seconds for your activities to load every time the app launched. Now also, when you have a new activity, you really don't have to do much. Milo will immediately detect the new activity and update all of these components as soon as you open the tab. If something ever does get stuck, then you can update your data like so. Now there are a few more things that we've added in this update. First of all, you can now see your training load that we calculate for your activities front and center and inside each activity list item here. We find that this is the most comparable stat to really see how much you've pushed yourself in each activity. We've also added a lot of additions for indoor activities. So now you can set your manual distance for indoor runs as well as for indoor rides, and also add power meters. For instance, in this example, I've been riding with my Peloton bike and I have had the Garmin power meter pedals attached. And so I was able to track my power, use a workout from Milo, and I will still have all of these stats inside Milo and go much deeper into the analysis. And then also we've added a few more little things to the settings. First of all, your Apple Watch, we now have a little overview just to help you understand if your watch is connected and reachable. That's one thing. And we've also improved the whole permissions page so that you can really track and see which permissions you have granted Milo. And then in case there are permissions missing, you can actually now review every single permission you have granted or not granted, and even see the most recent data point that we are reading. So that really helps you understand if things are working or not. This should not obviously be an issue for you at all if you've just enabled all permissions.